Hello friends, welcome back to nobody's favorite series, more aptly named reading the most recent 30 books that I added to my Goodreads and reading the synopsis with you for the first time and deciding if we actually want to read it, and then perhaps not actually reading it once it comes out. I just love talking about new releases. I love nothing more than talking about upcoming books and the things that sound somewhat interesting, or like authors that I've enjoyed. They're coming out with something next year and maybe it just has a title, but I add it to my Goodreads. And then for the first time, well, at least first time for me, maybe you already know about all these books, but we find out together what it's about and decide if we should read it. I have about 30 listings pulled up on my old grungy laptop that's gonna cast a beautiful glow upon my face. So the first one I want to talk about is called Sometime in Summer. I've talked about this a couple times. It was called something else before, but I knew Katrina Leno was coming out with something in 2022. This is the author of Summer Assault, one of my favorite books, and she says it's most similar to like Everything All at Once or The Lost and Found. It has her youngest protagonist she's ever written, and it's just about a girl navigating her summer. It says, Anna Lucia Ball believes in luck, bad luck. Bad luck made her best friend stop talking to her. Bad luck caused her parents divorce. Bad luck is forcing her mother to sell the family's beloved bookstore. And it is definitely bad luck that Anna seems to be the only person in the world her mom is unable to recommend a life-changing book. When Anna finds out she and her mom are spending 2 months in a New England seaside town called Rockport, she expects a summer plagued with bad luck too, but Rockport has surprises in store for Anna, including a comet making its first appearance in over 20 years and 2 new but familiar friends. Interesting. Familiar friends to her or familiar friends to us? Ooh, interesting. She also said this doesn't have romance in it, so you can enjoy that if you're looking for something like that, or you're looking to recommend something to like the young teen in your life. I believe the protagonist is 14. I think the cover is super cute and I will be picking it up. Next up, Ian Reid, author of I'm Thinking of Ending Things and Other Things. I know you have recommended me to read Foe for like ever, so I will pick that up before I pick up anything else from him, including his 2022 release due in September called We Spread. The Goodreads page is completely blank. Let me just watching TikTok. Let me see if I can find anything elsewhere on social media. Okay, you know what I did find? I found information about the adaptation for Foe, including the casting, which has Saoirse Ronan. I guess I definitely need to read it now. Oh, just kidding. I most recently added to my Goodreads, but it hasn't been recently announced. It was announced a year ago. And there's still no information about it. So, you know, add it to your Goodreads so you can be the first to know when the information actually comes out. What a great way to kick this off. Okay, next, an actual announcement. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Dying to see the cover. This is gonna come out in summer. Am I wrong? Or I think all of his books have come out in summer. It says, Casey Fletcher, a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press, has retreated to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of liquor, she passes the time watching Tom and Catherine Royce, the glamorous couple who live in the house across the lake. They make for good viewing. A tech innovator, Tom, is rich, and a former model, Catherine, is gorgeous. One day on the lake, Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other, the longer Casey watches, it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage is not as perfect and placid as it appears. When Catherine suddenly vanishes, Casey becomes consumed with finding out what happened to her. In the process, she discovers eerie, darker truths that turn a tale of voyeurism and suspicion into a story of guilt, obsession, and how looks can be very deceiving. It sounds like a lot of other thrillers I've read. Each one of his books seems to like hit a trope that we've seen before. His latest one was not for me, but I've enjoyed Riley Sager before, so I'm obviously gonna pick it up. I'm obviously probably gonna make you all read it with me for the book club. Next up, Melissa Albert. Yes, there's a rabbit on the cover. Yes, that is why I added it to my list. So many of you messaged this to me because I just love rabbits on the cover, and there will be a rabbit vlog next summer. You may know Melissa Albert from her Hazelwood book series. I DNF'd the first book, but I'm still intrigued by her writing to see what this is about. 17-year-old Ivy's summer break kicks off with an accident, a punishment, and a mystery. A stranger whose appearance in the middle of the road in the middle of the night heralds a string of increasingly unsettling events. As the days pass, Ivy grapples with eerie offerings, corroded memories, and a secret she's always known, that there's more to her mother than meets the eye. And then we're in another timeline. Dana has always been perceptive, and the summer she turned 16 with the help of her best friend and an ambitious older girl, her gifts bloom into a heady fling with the supernatural, set in a city of magical possibilities and secret mystics. As the trio's aspirations darken, they find themselves speeding towards a violent breaking point. I actually do often like books that have two different timelines from a mother and daughter, and seeing them faced with similar things, but in different timelines. Next, this cover just really did it for me. I've never heard of this author. Not a debut. It's called I Am the Ghost in Your House. The author is Maria Ramasco Moore, and it says, Pi is the ghost in your house. Her name's Pi. She's not dead, she's invisible. The way she looks changes depending on what is behind her. A girl of glass, a girl who's a window. If she stands in front of the floral wallpaper, she's full of roses. For Pi's entire life, it's been Pi and her mother, just the two of them traveling across America. They have slept in trains, in mattress stores, and on the bare ground. They've probably slept in your house. Oh God. But Pi is lonely, and now at 17, her mother's given her a gift, the choice of the next city they will go to, and Pi knows exactly where she wants to go. Pittsburgh, where she fell in love with a girl who she plans to find once again, and this time she will reveal herself. Only how can anyone love an invisible girl? Interesting. A YA paranormal. I'm intrigued. Ooh, next up is an anthology called The Grimoire of Grave Fates. First author on here is Hannah Alcaf, Kat Cho, Mason Deaver, Hafsa Faisal, Darcy Little Badger, L.L. McKinney, Taylor K. Mejia, Ayla Whaley, Julia Winters. I have read from many of these people before, and it says it follows the untimely murder of a professor at an esteemed wizarding school and the efforts of various students to track down his killer, with each chapter portraying a different character's perspective. Okay, my mistake, not an anthology. That's even better. I want to read more books that are one story, but like from many authors. That's great. I'm so glad I added it. That is something I'm interested in. Next up, I saw Wahala. This is a debut from Nikki May. Let me know which cover you prefer. I think I like them both equally. I saw a lot of people adding this to their TBRs, so I just added it to my TBR. Ronki wants happily ever after and 2.2 kids. She's dating Coyote and wants him to be the one. Her friends think he's just another in a long line of dodgy Nigerian boyfriends. Boo has everything Ronki wants. A kind husband, gorgeous child, but she's frustrated, unfulfilled, plagued by guilt, and desperate to remember who she used to be. Simi is the golden one with the perfect lifestyle. No one knows she's crippled by imposter syndrome and tempted to pack it all in each time her boss mentions her urban vibe. Her husband thinks they're trying for a baby. She's not. When the high-flying, charismatic Isabel explodes into the group, it seems at first she's bringing out the best in each woman. But the more Isabel intervenes, the more chaos she sows. And Ronki, Simi, and Boo's close relationship begins to crack. So sorry if I'm pronouncing any of those poorly. I'm sure I am. A sharp modern take on friendship, ambition, culture, and betrayal. It says it's like just contemporary fiction, but then it also says it's a thriller. It does sound like it'll be a combination. Love a friend group, love tension. Okay, next up is from C.L. Polk, author of The Midnight Bargain, which I really enjoyed. This one's called Even Though I Knew the End. No cover yet, and it says an exiled augur who sold her soul to save her brother's life is offered one last job before eternity in hell. Oh my. When she turns it down, her client sweetens the pot by offering up the one payment she can't resist, the chance to have a future where she grows old with the woman she loves. To succeed, she must track down the White City Vampire, Chicago's most notorious serial killer, in the 3 days she has left. If she fails, only hell and heartbreak await. Oh, I'm reading it. I hope it is a standalone fantasy, and I'm excited to check it out. Next up, another magical story. This one's called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Yes, I added it just because of the title. It's by Sangu Mandana, who I haven't read from before. And it says it's pitched as The House in the Cerulean Sea meets practical magic, about a witch who has always stayed hidden from the world until she's summoned to the mysterious Nowhere House, where she gets involved with the 3 young witches, the handsome but prickly librarian who watches over them, and the many secrets the estate holds until danger comes knocking at the door. Yeah, I want to read that. Well, that's easy. Another one from an author I've never heard of before. It's called The Blue Beautiful World by Karen Lord. I saw this little blurb that says it's a near future sci-fi novel about post-climate disaster. On a post-apocalyptic Earth devastated by climate change, the global government project has begun to train a group of young diplomatic representatives in a simulation for first contact between Earth and extraterrestrials. Yes, I want to read it already. When a simulation turns true and the concept becomes no longer hypothetical, but an impending reality, it will change life as they know it. Kanoa, a representative from the Pacific, must ponder the manner of his father's death and whether there might also be non-human intelligence in the depths of Earth's oceans. Meanwhile, Owen, a rock star who once toured the world for his concerts, has a near superhuman ability to sway both crowds and individuals. Though global stardom has taken a toll on him, he has used his influence to invest in projects that prime him to be one of the foremost figures in the new world. As the idea of a new galactic civilization sets in, these two and many others must consider how they will navigate this new and strange existence and what it will mean for the future of the Earth. Okay, there are some things that sound interesting. There are some things that make me hesitant. I'm gonna wait and see the cover. This one, I love the cover. It's called How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. And it said it was for fans of Cloud Atlas and Station 11, so I added it. It's also a debut. He has written some like collections and other things. Ooh, there's two covers for this one. Here's the other one. What do you think? Which do you prefer? I'm definitely dipping my toe into more sci-fi in 2022. If there's any other ones you know of that are coming out that you think I'd be interested in, let me know. I have a feeling if I do like the Goodreads awards challenge at the end of the year like I always do, it's going to be sci-fi next year. Beginning in 2030, a grieving archaeologist arrives in the Arctic Circle to continue the work of his recently deceased daughter at the Batageka crater, where researchers are studying long buried secrets now revealed in melting permafrost, including the perfectly preserved remains of a girl who appears to have died of an ancient virus. Once unleashed, the Arctic plague will reshape life on Earth for generations to come, quickly traversing the globe, forcing humanity to devise a myriad of moving and inventive ways to embrace possibility in the face of tragedy. Interesting. That comes out in January. Okay, next up, I thought you would like this one just because of the cover. I just feel like this is what you guys are into. It's called Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin, who does have some other work out there. It says it's horror, LGBT, fiction, science fiction. I know it's post-apocalyptic. Let's see. Beth and Fran spend their days traveling the ravaged New England coast, hunting feral men and harvesting their organs in a gruesome effort to ensure they'll never face the same fate. Robbie, oh no, not my husband. Robbie lives by his gun and one hard-learned motto: other people aren't safe. After a brutal accident entwines the three of them, this found family of survivors must navigate murderous turfs, a sociopathic billionaire bunker brat, and an awkward relationship dynamic, all while outrunning packs of feral men and their own demons. Manhunt is a timely, powerful response to every gender-based apocalypse story that failed to consider the existence of transgender and non-binary people from a powerful new voice in horror. Alright, that's out in February. I will be reading. Next up we have What We Harvest. Definitely added this because of the cover. It's strange and beautiful. Written by Anne Freistat. It says for fans of Wilder Girls. It's set in an idyllic small town and has nightmarish qualities. Great, let's read. Wren owes everything she has to her home, Hollow's End, a centuries-old picture-perfect American town. Tourists travel miles to marvel at its miracle crops, including the shimmering, iridescent wheat of Wren's family farm. Until 5 months ago. That's when the quicksilver mercury blight first surfaced, poisoning the farms of Hollow's End one by one. It began by consuming the crops. Thick silver sludge bleeding from the earth. Next were the animals, infected livestock and wild creatures alike staggering off into the woods by day, only to return at night, their eyes fogged white, leering from the trees. Then the blight came for the neighbors. Wren is among the last locals standing, and the blight has finally come for her too. Now the only one she can turn to is the last person she wants to call, her ex, Derek. They haven't spoken in months, but Wren and Derek still have one thing in common. Hollow's End means everything to them. Only there's much they don't know about their hometown and its renowned miracle crops, and they're about to discover the miracles aren't free. Yeah, great. Please Yes. Okay, next up is from Lee Mangelo, author of Summer Suns. This upcoming one from 2022 is called Feed Them Silence. No cover yet, but it says it's science fiction. Feed Them Silence begs the question, what does it mean to be in kind with non-human animals? Dr. Sean Kaludin uses a neurological interface to translate a subject wolf's perception for human consumption. But as her relationship with the subject becomes complicated, she puts her research and her marriage at risk. When Dr. Sean Kaludin's grant is accepted, she begins her research of cooperative behaviors. I can't read today. In one of Minnesota's last remaining wolf packs, but she's wholly unprepared for the emotional turmoil that comes with inhabiting and translating a wolf's consciousness. The longer she observes the subject wolf and her pack, the more Sean drifts away from her wife. As the harsh winter months threaten the pack's survival and Sean's marriage spirals down the drain, Sean will have to face the consequences of her negligence, or let the world of wolves and the world she's known both slip through her fingers. Okay, I will read that. Many things I've added are like nature, sci-fi, nature, horror, which seems perfect for me. Which is, you'd think like that's why you added them, but like I didn't know anything about these. Next up, I can't remember if I shared this with you last time. Maybe I did. I'll find out while I'm reading the synopsis and figure out if I've read it before. It's called And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin. I think I have read this. Maybe it didn't have a cover. Here's the cover. I don't like it, but like in a good way. In a world reeling from an unusual plague, monsters lurk in the streets while terrified survivors arm themselves and roam the countryside in packs. Or perhaps something very different is happening. When a disease affects how reality is perceived, it's hard to be certain of anything. Spence is one of the cured, living at the Ironside Rehabilitation Facility. Haunted by guilt, he refuses to face the changed world until a new inmate challenges him to help her find her old crew. But if he can't tell the truth from the lies, how will he know if he's earned the redemption he dreams of? How will he know he hasn't just made things worse? Ooh, that's a very short novella out in spring. Another pinky cover. Very different vibe. This is I Kiss Shara Wheeler, which I shared with you last time, Casey McQuiston's 2022 release, but it didn't have a cover. This is their YA debut, and I think the cover is fine. I don't think I read the synopsis either. I think it was just like the teaser cover that came out and not really any information. If I have already read this, I'm sorry. Chloe Green is so close to winning. After her mom's moved her from SoCal to Alabama for high school, she spent the past 4 years dodging gossipy classmates and a puritanical administration at Willow Grove Christian Academy. The thing that's kept her going, winning valedictorian. Her only rival, prom queen Shara Wheeler, the principal's perfect progeny. Okay, this sounds cute. But a month before graduation, Shara kisses Chloe and vanishes. On a furious hunt for answers, Chloe discovers she's not the only one Shara kissed. There's also Smith, Shara's longtime quarterback sweetheart, and Rory, Shara's bad boy neighbor with a crush. The three have nothing in common except Shara and the annoyingly cryptic notes she left behind, but together they must untangle Shara's, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, Shara? The trail of clues and find her. It'll be worth it if Chloe can drag Shara back from before graduation to beat her fair and square. That sounds fun. Will you be reading? If you're somebody who exclusively reads adult romance and you have enjoyed Casey McQuiston's other stuff, will you be picking up this YA? Because what I feel like more often happens is an author transitions from YA to adult and like readers go with them as they age. But do you see this as something for you or something for like a younger audience and you're excited for teens to be able to read and enjoy Casey McQuiston as well? Moving on, we have Wake the Bones by Elizabeth Kilcoyne. I shared this one with you before that I added it to my TBR just because of the title. Now it has a cover. I don't know if I like it, but let's give it a shot and find out what it's about. The sleepy little farm that Laurel Early grew up on has awakened. The woods, see, it seems totally up my alley. The woods are shifting, the soil is dead under her hands, and her bone pile just stood up and walked away. After dropping out of college, all she wanted was to resume her life as a tobacco hand and taxidermist, and try not to think about the boy she can't help but love. Instead, a devil from her past has returned to court her, as he did her late mother years earlier. Now Laurel must unravel her mother's terrifying legacy and tap into her own innate magic before her future and the fate of everyone she loves is doomed. That's tough. It is a debut. It's a little risky. I might wait and see when people's reviews start coming in before I decide if I want to pick it up. Next up though is another rabbit cover, and it's probably my favorite rabbit cover I've ever seen. It's called What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. It's extremely unsettling. This is the author of The Hollow Places and other things I haven't read. But this is really, truly at the top of my list for 2022 releases. And the reason that the bunny rabbit vlog is happening. So it is a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's classic, The Fall of the House of Usher. I really cannot wait. It says, when Alex Easton, a retired soldier, receives word that their childhood friend Madeline Usher is dying, they race to the ancestral home of the Ushers in the remote countryside of Ruritania. What they find there is a nightmare of fungal growths and possessed wildlife surrounding a dark, pulsing lake. Madeline sleepwalks and speaks in strange voices at night, and a baffled American doctor, Alex must unravel the secret of the House of Usher before it consumes them all. I'm already desperate for it. Like, Tor's always doing good shit, but like 2022, I feel like this is just Tor's moment. Like, there's so many interesting things. Next up, we have a romance book from Okwege Emezi. It's called You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. There are 2 covers too, and I definitely want to know which one you prefer. I obviously like the one with the hand on it, but I love the colors of this one, so let me know what you think. Again, I will be pronouncing these names poorly. Don't worry, when I go to review a book or actually talk about the book, I make a point to learn all the pronunciations. Fei, F-E-Y-I. Fei Adekola wants to learn how to be alive again. It's been 5 years since the accident that killed the love of her life, and she's almost a brand new person. An artist with her own studio and sharing a brownstone apartment with her ride-or-die best friend Joy, who insists it's time for Faye to ease back into the dating scene. Faye isn't ready for anything serious, but a steamy encounter on a rooftop party cascades into a whirlwind summer she could have never imagined. A luxury trip to a tropical island, decadent meals in the glamorous home of a celebrity chef, and a major curator who wants to launch her art career. She's even started dating the perfect guy, but her new relationship might be sabotaged before it has a chance by the dangerous thrill Faye feels every time she locks eyes with the one person in the house who's most definitely off limits. This new life she asked for just got a lot more complicated, and Faye must begin to search for real answers. What do you think? What do you think? I love that they're really exploring every single genre, and I think I have no choice but to pick it up. Okay, next up is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. The Goodreads has no information, but I originally saw it on Instagram. I have yet to love an Alice Feeney book, but I am reading another one soon, so we'll see. And this I had to add because it says it's the ultimate locked room thriller. I love a locked room thriller. No cover yet. Daisy Darker was born with a broken heart and was never expected to live very long. So when her family gathers to celebrate her Nana's 80th birthday on Halloween at the family mansion, a crumbling house set on the crumbling cliffs, it's a complete surprise when one by one the others start dying. Oh, that's it. That's the whole synopsis. She said she's been writing it for 5 years and it's her favorite book that she's written. So I'm probably gonna read it. Okay, and then while I'm here, I'll go to the other one that I heard about on Instagram, and it doesn't have a Goodreads page yet. For anyone who's ever asked me, I find out about new releases on Instagram and Twitter just by following authors from Publishers Weekly, and then on Goodreads. I'm sure most people already know about this, but just in case you don't, if you go under the browse feature and you go to new releases, it basically shows you any book from an author that you already have on your shelves, and it's like organized by month. So you can click next month, next month, next month, or you can just like type in the URL itself the month that you want to see what's coming out that month. Obviously it's flawed because you can only find out about ones that have a date associated with them, but it's helpful. So the one that Josh Mallerman just posted about is called Daphne, and it says it's coming out in summer 2022. The only information about it says horror has a new name, Daphne. A brutal, enigmatic woman stalks a girls' high school basketball team in a total reimagining of the slasher genre. Daphne is much more than a female Jason, a female Freddy. Whatever you do, don't think about Daphne. Don't think about Daphne. I'm obviously gonna read it. That's pretty high up on my 2022 most anticipated as well. If you want to find any of these books, obviously I just said some of them aren't on Goodreads, but I do have a Goodreads list. If you sort of by like most recently added, you can see everything that I added to my anticipated upcoming releases list. What? Why is talking so hard today? Okay, next up, since we're talking about thrillers, let's talk about Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough. I do dig this cover. It's coming out in April, and it says, Emma Averill loves her life, her high-powered legal career, her 2 beautiful children, and her wonderful stay-at-home husband. But it wasn't always perfect. When she was just 5 years old, Emma and her older sister went into foster care because of a horrific incident with her mother. Her sister can remember a time when their mother was loving and quote-unquote normal, but Emma can only remember her as one thing, a monster. And that monster emerged right around their mother's 40th birthday, the same age Emma is approaching now. Emma desperately wants to keep her successful life separate from her past, so she's always hidden away her childhood trauma. But then she's unable to sleep and now losing time during the day, also one of the first symptoms her mother showed. Is the madness in her blood, just as her mother predicted? Could she end up hurting her family in her foggy, frenetic state, or is she truly beginning to lose her mind? Sarah Pinborough is a hit or miss for me, but I'd be lying to say I'm not intrigued. We will see how that goes. Next on my list is Cherish Farah, which is by Bethany C. Morrow, author of A Song Below Water, which I love. I don't know how to pinpoint this one because it has like pretty much every genre listed. Horror, contemporary, young adult, thriller. I don't know the vibe, but let's find out. 17-year-old Farah Turner is one of the 2 black girls in her country club community and the only one with black parents. Her best friend, Cherish Whitman, adopted by a wealthy white family, is something Farah likes to call a WGS, white girl spoiled. When her own family is unexpectedly confronted with foreclosure, the calculating Farah is determined to reassert the control she's convinced she's always had over her life by staying with Cherish, the only person she loves. Okay, so like toxic friendship vibes. Love that. A troubled Farah manipulates her way further into the Whitman family. By the longer she stays, the more her own parents suggest there's something wrong in the Whitman house. But soon everything begins to unravel when the Whitmans invite Farah closer, and it's anyone's guess who's really in control. Okay, it says, told in Farah's chilling, unforgettable voice and weaving in searing commentary on race and class, this slow burn social horror will keep you on the edge of your seat into the last page. Okay. Next up, another sci-fi on my list is called A Half-Built Garden by Ruthanna Emeries. And it says, on a warm March night in 2083, Judy Wallach Stevens wakes to a warning of unknown pollutants in the Chesapeake Bay. She heads out to check what she expects to be a false alarm and stumbles upon the first alien visitors to Earth. Okay, everything I'm adding is just like first contact. Sci-fi. That's so great. These aliens have crossed the galaxy to save humanity, convinced that the people of Earth must leave their ecologically ravaged planet behind and join them among the stars. And if humanity doesn't agree, they may need to be saved by force. And that is a summer release. You guessed it, from Tor. I was just on a roll this day because I have another horror science fiction combo on my list. It's called Black Tide by Casey Jones, who I don't think has written anything like this before, but it said that it's Cujo meets A Quiet Place, and I immediately added it. It was just another day at the beach, and then the world ended. Mike and Beth didn't know each other existed before the night of the meteor shower. A melancholy film producer and a house sitter barely scraping by, chance made them neighbors. A bottle of champagne brought them together, and a shared need for human connection sparked something more. After a drunken and desperate one-night stand, the 2 strangers awake to discover a surprise astronomical event has left widespread destruction in its wake. But the cosmic light show was only a part of something bigger and far more terrifying. The rising tide reaches for the car and unspeakable horrors close in around them. These 2 self-destructive souls must find in each other the strength to overcome past pain and fight to survive a nightmare of apocalyptic scale. Again, that just sounds so intriguing to me. Okay, next up we have a cover for Out There, Into the Queer New Yonder. So this is all out. This was an anthology, one of my favorite anthologies of all time, which is Queer Stories from the Past. Then we had Out Now, which I haven't read yet, which are like current contemporary stories. And then this one is meant to be future stories. I think I've already read the synopsis to you, but there's like aliens, there's space stations, there's a dying planet, and it all centers around like various love stories, coming of age stories, etc. Next up, a cover reveal came for These Fleeting Shadows by Kate Alice Marshall. I talked to you about this before when it was just the title, and I already added it, and now there's a cover, and I love it. And there's still not a synopsis, so I'm gonna have to mention this in a third iteration of this series so we can talk about what it's actually about, unless there's something to find elsewhere on the internet. Oh, the cover reveal just happened today, like an hour ago. Okay, this says the girl was about 7 or 8 years old, blonde, wearing a simple white dress and no shoes. She crouched down. Oh, this is an excerpt. Okay, the quick blurb just says it's The Haunting of Hill House meets Knives Out in a bid for an inheritance that will leave Helen Vaughn either rich or dead. I love inheritance stories, and I knew it was gonna be like a spooky house story, obviously. Oh, 100% reading that. Fun. Oh, that was the last one. I had another tab open, but it was just the Goodreads homepage. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me while I went over all of these books and found out what they're about with you. Let me know what you're interested in down below, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.